Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Community FC. Well, this is it. It is the end of the season. We are on season 2, episode 11. I think we might be having an episode 12 of this series because we're going to discuss some more stuff, but we'll get into that a bit later. I just want to introduce my constant co-host, as always, Rich. How you doing, mate?
Very well, thank you, Aidan. Thanks for having me as always. It's exciting to be here at the end of the season, especially for us too.
Yeah, especially for us too. We can reflect on some stuff tonight, and then move swiftly on and never really talk about it. And have the hope of next season. We love that transfer window for me, new manager, all sorts of stuff's happening. So there is that hope which a football fan loves. I love it's you don't get it anywhere else. That it's just like a hard reset, and a few weeks later you have a completely different outset and mindset on life. It's very interesting. So anyway, we're gonna keep this kind of short and sweet. As I said, we're probably going to do 2 episodes. I think tonight we're just going to discuss kind of the overall season, how it finishes. We left it a week to get the Champions League out of the way, so we're going to touch on that and a few other bits. So we're just going to be talking through kind of like some underperformers, overperformers, the top 4, the relegation zone, and the title, of course. And then the week after, we're going to do a little bit of thinking. But I think it'd be fun if we kind of gave out some Community FC awards for like goal of the season, manager of the season, and maybe even do us and some kind of other people from Community FC do like our team of the seasons and stuff like that, because that'd be fun to have a debate and discuss around. But for today, we're going to keep it casual, just talk about some fun stuff, and obviously just give our insight, which clearly that's why you're here, because otherwise you could just watch the games or match of the day. So we will crack on. So I think to start off on this one, I think we just start off with the title race, really. So I will let you kick off and talk about anything you want, but we can just relive that manic day.
Outrageous final day, really. I think out of the games that were being played, there's only 2 games that had 0 impact on the final standings, and that is crazy.
Yeah.
Realistically, one of those games was Southampton Leicester, so we won't need to talk about that game. But I did switch it over to watch Man City at the end because well, more than just at the end. But yeah, to see at half time where we stood with Aston Villa beating Man City and I think Wolves beating Liverpool at that point. It was all up in the air, and it looked like Man City were going to win the league without winning the game, and Liverpool were going to throw the chance away. And wow, like it was just absolutely crazy. And friend of the podcast, Steve, Liverpool fan, you could tell the nerves he had at that point, because all it took from Liverpool, it would have been 1 goal at that point,
which you knew was going to come. So it was just one of those things.
Yeah, 1 goal is all it would have taken. And if Man City were still losing, then that draw would have been enough for Liverpool to snatch the title. But Man City do what Man City do.
Yep.
And honestly, it inspired, what was it, about 7 minutes?
Yeah, if that's 7 or not, yes, 9 minutes. Yeah, ridiculous.
Ridiculous like that. And all of a sudden it's 3-2. And I love it when Sky Sports cut back to Liverpool and all the fans hearing the noise, hearing the result. Silent, absolutely silent, apart from the Wolves fans,
obviously.
So, absolutely outrageous. To be honest, we've been saying it all along. This is going to be a spicy title race. And it certainly was spicy, and it kept everyone going right until that final whistle was blown, really. But we called it. Man City have got too much quality, and with Haaland joining them,
right off the next couple of years, I think is what we've already said. Like our group chat was going mental on the last day of the season, as you can imagine, because we're all updating on the different games that we're watching, because all 4 of us at that point all support different teams, watching different teams. It all has impact and different stuff, and obviously trying to get the little like jibes in about other teams and what's happening. And it was just crazy. And yeah, I mean, what a way, like, as you said, so much to be decided on the final day of the season. And actually, so many goals was just like ridiculous. Obviously, we'll get onto some more of them when we come to some other teams as well. But yeah, it was one of those ones where you were just like, it went back and forth. It was like Liverpool are currently winning. No, City are currently winning. No, this has happened. I mean, there was some I can't even talk. Slight sweet justice from all the Liverpool fans that laughed at United from that terrible day of the season, which was one of my worst footballing days when they think they won the league and done it. Well, happened to you this time, didn't it? So you come so close, and yeah, unlucky. And
you love to see it.
and but yeah, it is what, as you said, like City turned up. Gundogan is doing his thing, and just they do what they do. Like, both of these teams have incredible attacking talent, and both these teams can grind results out, and that's what makes champions at the end of the day. And City just did it, and you knew as soon as one went in, again the same way that we knew Liverpool would score. You knew if City's, like, it was a case of if they scored, they're going to score more. Like, they just were. As soon as the floodgates opened, so as soon as you want one, and everyone just watching their phones, updating and stuff, because you just knew it was coming. And then our group chat was like, it's this. And I think most Liverpool fans knew that was going to happen. I mean, the thing is, they probably went into that match assuming they were going to win anyway. But when the results were going how they were with the time left on the clock, that's the thing that kills you, because you're just like, the hope seeps in. But yeah, as you said, we've called it. It's not a Mystic Meg moment from us at all. Most people thought City were going to win the league, and as you said, with Erling coming, I think it's a game over for a lot of years to come, unless somehow the way he plays impacts the way that City have played. But again, I'm sure with all the talent and the amount of players they have, Pep can make a system that works for them in that sense. So yeah, so that was it. So City, as we predicted, Liverpool close runner up. So we'll just go down the table, I think. So we'll get on to top four. So top four, again, it was one of those games again where it was a teams to lose, and they were like, right, Spurs are in the driving seat after the North London derby defeat for Arsenal, and them also just losing against, I think it was Newcastle, and a few other just stupid results. So, but what was so funny is both North London clubs were like, right, we're just going to score as many as we can, boys. We're trying to make up goal difference. We're trying to just ridiculous amounts of goals winning.
Absolute batter, isn't it? 5-0 Tottenham game, Norwich, and 5-1 Arsenal Everton.
Yeah.
Absolutely crazy. But like, let's not gloss over the fact that Arsenal shit the bed here.
Yeah.
At one point, 6 points ahead and a game in hand. And fair play Tottenham. We said that they were starting to perform really well under Conte. Son was like a live wire this season, really. I mean,
especially the second half.
To get a joint golden boot, that's outrageous. So yeah, absolutely fantastic. But yeah, God, what were Arsenal doing there?
I just think, I mean, there's two minds on that. While we're touching on Arsenal really quick, I do want to say fair play to Arteta in one sense, where you were literally at the beginning of the season odds on to be cannon fodder and be the first manager fired of the season. To then pull it back to get to a nearly top four spot is commendable in one sense. But then, as you said, with the amount of games that they had and the chances they had to also get top four, you would say that not only Arteta but the Arsenal squad just bottled it at the last minute as well. We've have again, obviously I'm going to bring my club up a lot because it's the stuff that I see the most. But when they're like, United's worst season in a couple of seasons, and then you've got Arsenal's best season in a couple of seasons, and then it's the shaking hand emoji. You're both meeting in Europa League. Like it comes down to the same thing. No matter what they've done, they didn't get that top four spot. So there's not much in it between both teams then slipping off and performing badly. So yeah,
they didn't. They weren't in the any European football, were they, this season?
No, which is what helped them. Yeah.
And I can't help but think that seriously is this was their opportunity to get Champions League.
Absolutely, it makes such a difference.
I think them having Europa League next season is going to cause such an impact on the.
It can't not when you're playing on a Thursday and you've got all these extra games and extra miles, and it's putting pressure on your squad for big games to win. It just is.
They just don't have the depth in team either, because once you get past their first 11, you've got some really suspect players in there. And how can they be starting Cedric Suarez? He couldn't get a game at Southampton.
Yeah, they've always had an interesting squad of like. They've got some brilliant bench players. Nobody's saying they haven't. They've got some unreal talent, but they've also then just got some people that had just flopped or just not worked, or that they need a serious clear out as well to get them back on track. Really.
Yeah.
I think also, sorry, go back to Spurs. I just want to quickly mention them again. what a job Conte's done in that sense. You know, it was one of those ones where we were like, is it going to happen? Is it not? You know, I was kind of leaning on the fence. I think it will happen, but it just shows you again what Conte has managed to do with that squad and get them, you know, turning around looking good. Like, I am very worried that I don't see anything but improvement from Spurs coming next season, because he'll have more money to spend because it's been promised now, and he's going to have more time to implement the stuff that he wants to. You know, people were like, what's he bringing in like 2 players from Juve for and all this kind of stuff just because it's Italian league. Kulusevski, unreal end to the season. Like, you know, he may be talked about in next week's episode when we're talking about, you know, stuff like signing of the season. And, you know, probably we're not going to win it, but you see my point. Like, you know, last day of the season, 2 of those goals were Kulusevski. Like, he just got in that team and did it. And I think with time, and it looks like the Perisic deal is going to go through. He's again picking from the Italian league where he has had most recent success, and he's going to build something that's formidable. Kane looks like he's going to stay. If nobody's taking Son, which I don't think they will because they've got top 4, keeping the Son and Kane partnership going, you know, that it's going to be a force to be reckoned with. So fair play to Conte. We will kind of go to the last 2 people. We don't need to touch on too much. Chelsea, I think it's been one of them where they've had such a tumultuous season with everything going on with the club, which again, apparently today it's been finalised, so that, you know, their summer's looking a lot better, that they have eventually been sold. But they had such a good start, then a fall off, and then just losing some weird games, and, you know, then this has massively affected them. So I think, you know, there's not much more to say about Chelsea unless you've got anything to kind of add. It's one of them.
No, I'd like to take the plaudits though from calling Lukaku being a fraud way back on episode 1 of Roundup Review. And for you Spotify listeners, you'll have to go to YouTube for that.
Again, I think, you know, I agree it hasn't performed the way he has this season. I still think there's a Premier League top quality striker in there.
There is not.
I just don't think, with the stuff that happened with Tuchel and just the system they're playing, I don't think it suits him.
There is not a Premier League top goal scorer in Lukaku. He has not done it at any level in the Premier League.
No, and I generally thought this would be the way, but again, it looks like he either might stay and fight for his place, but now the sale's gone through. If he's pushing for the Inter move, which seems to be the thing, then maybe
he'll go back to Italy. Go back to Italy, and he'll be big fish in a little pond.
Yeah,
because let's be honest, that's what the Italian league is. There's a 2 or 3 massive teams, and then the rest is very average. I could go over the Italian league and stand out. Do you know what I mean? Same with the French league. Premier League's different kettle of fish.
I mean, yeah, we're not going to disagree on that point, but we will disagree on the Lukaku thing. I think with the right circumstances and the right system around him, it is what it is. Because I think that's what hurt me United as well. Speaking of United, we'll move swiftly on. I will talk about them really quickly. Again, a disappointment for the season in general, obviously. And, you know, we've had some terrible results. We didn't win a game that Ronaldo didn't play in. Says it all. And you know, without David De Gea and Ronaldo, we would be in relegation zone. So that is where we stand. The one thing I do just want to point out quickly, as it's a topic of conversation this week, is that with obviously Ralph Rangnick announcing that he is departing Manchester United because the Austrian job is going to take his full time and concentration. To me, I liked what Rangnick, as I said before, I've said on here, I love what he's done off the pitch by exposing people and going, he needs to go, he needs to go, he needs to go. Maybe he's gone a step too far. It seems that him and Ten Hag aren't on the same page when it comes to a few other bits as well, so that could have influence on it. But the problem I have then is I can't help but think, I understand I was on the fence, and you can go back and watch episodes. I'm not saying I wasn't on the teetering on the Ole out fence, a bit like you've been with your manager as well. But I just can't help but feel that how it played on the pitch, if we'd stuck with Ollie, I think we would have just scraped top 4. And I think, yeah, so if he's now gone from the backroom staff and he's not going to be staying there as a consultancy role, did we just give up top 4 for nothing? Potentially. We'll see.
I 100% agree with you on that. And I was speaking to someone the other day, and I did say that I think sacking Ole for Ralph was a terrible move, because what's he done?
Nothing on the pitch, that's the problem.
Yeah. He's come in and he's fired some shots at backroom staff at the management of the club. But realistically, I think the results on the pitch were worse.
Yeah.
than
100%.
what you had with Ole. And I think that was honestly just.
We'll only see if there's a slight bit of benefit from next season. We think that there has been, but again, there's nothing until a new manager comes in and more backroom staff like someone else has been confirmed today. But yeah, it's one of them. But we'll move on. It wasn't a good season. I look forward to next season. And I said, how you can even back this up even for the podcast. I was saying if there was a man that I was hoping to get the job, it was Ten Hag. So I'm personally excited. But again, I don't think it's going to be an instant overnight thing. I think we're not going to be, if we're challenging for the title, it's not going to be for at least until the second season, probably third. But anyway, we'll move swiftly on. That's that for top four. We'll go to relegation battle, and then we'll come back to kind of the rest of the table. So relegation battle, obviously we had Burnley join Norwich and Watford. I think obviously that was an exciting journey to the end. Nobody knew what quite was going to happen. I'm personally slightly sad Burnley are going down. I actually think they're a good club for the Premier League. They play very differently, and it's a really hard night at Turf Moor, like a midweek match in the winter, and it makes it exciting. But that's football, and they've taken their time, and Sean Dyche isn't there anymore, so it is what it is.
I don't like Burnley. I don't like the way they play football. I never have, and I don't like the fact that despite that, they always seem to beat us. So I'm happy they're going down. To be honest, I think realistically they overstayed their welcome. I think they probably should have gone down a couple of years ago.
Yeah, that's fair.
I think Sean Dyche should have left a couple of years ago. And I don't get me wrong, I've got nothing against Sean Dyche. I love him as a manager. I think he's cracking. I think he's done very well with the limited budget that he's got. But I do think it was Burnley's time to go. I think there is still a little something about Leeds. And if they manage to keep hold of some of their players, which I don't think that they'll be able to keep hold of some of them.
Yeah.
But we could probably, I think they could make a strong case about being one of these teams that flirt with relegation each season, but just scraping by. What is exciting though about Burnley going down is they've got quite a few quality players that are now going to be being redistributed. Rumours are, Southampton have now got the shortest odds on getting Nick Pope,
which would be incredible. He's a great keeper, so it'd be brilliant.
Outrageously good, yeah, but it'd be absolutely brilliant. A little bit old, but as a keeper, you don't mind having a bit of an old keeper. I think he'd be fine. He'd be very well. He's hands down up. He's upgrading.
I was about to say he's fine, but he's massively upgrading on everything you've had recently. So
yeah, his distribution's not the best. He's not ball at the feet kind of keeper, but to be honest, I think he could be worth 10 to 15 points a season. And then we've got the likes of Tarkowski going on a free.
Yeah, potentially Everton and a few other players. I think he's great
Newcastle,
as well. Yeah,
have been linked to him as well. I would have liked him at Southampton, but I don't think he'll go there.
Yeah.
They've got Nathan Collins as well, who's also very, very good, but also Maxwell Cornet, who has only got a £17 million release clause. And if I'm Southampton, our wingers are a problem here.
Weghorst must have a relegation contract too.
Yeah, exactly right. And Weghorst is, we're a big fan of Weghorst on the podcast. So yeah, they've got some good players there. I think with Norwich, I don't think there's any standout players there.
They're all the old. If they're the older guard, they tend to be the standout ones. But I don't think they're going to be staying with them. They'll be taking the Norwich, and then anyone that's young. Again, potential that Max Aaron's there's very tenuous links to United at the moment. But in general, you could see someone like that moving, but not too many other people.
Yeah, Watford have got a few big players.
Yep,
that they'll do well to keep hold of. Obviously, Sarr's quality, despite his issues off the pitch.
Yeah, I think he'll leave.
Emmanuel Dennis is one that Southampton have been linked with.
Yep.
I'd be very, very happy with Emmanuel Dennis.
Even in the Prem, yeah.
Yeah, very, very good.
I think they've got quite a few people that they can get. And obviously they've, the person has announced that Ben Foster's leaving. He's announced that he's moving somewhere else. So that's interesting for them. So I think they'll have a lot of... I don't know
how much I put faith in this rumour, but Ben Foster has maybe been linked with Southampton as a third choice.
Well, it was interesting. I was listening to the latest episode of the Fozcast today, and he was saying that a south team on the coast would be probably the least ideal situation because it's so far from where he lives. But he was saying that depending on how many days a week he has to train, that could all change. So who knows? But
Yeah,
I think he was saying Premier League, wasn't he? Even if he was second keeper somewhere, and then I guess it's probably MLS the year after. So that's an interesting one.
So I mean, I'd take him as a third place keeper. You know, if we get in Nick Pope as a first choice, we've got Maka as a fairly capable second choice, and then realistically, a third choice keeper, you want experience, you want someone there to help bring through the younger guys, and you know, we know that Ben Foster's got a good quality when it comes to being in the dressing room. So I think that could work.
Yeah, I honestly think he'll go to somewhere more as a first or even a second keeper, but we will just see. So that's kind of the top, the nearly top, and the bottom. Is there anyone else? I've got a few down here, but is there anyone else you want to shout out, either for good or bad, in kind of the rest of the table?
Well, I guess we start with Newcastle.
Yep.
You know, they did a
Great
good
escape.
job turning it around. It irritates me, to be honest, because realistically, the amount of money they've got now, it looks like that they're going to be absolutely fine. And that so annoys me, because they've got so much money, and it just puts even more of a gap between the bigger clubs.
And it's already started. I think that the problem is, like, I'm not in a position whatsoever to talk, because my club has a lot of money compared to a lot of other clubs. So we spend outrageous amounts of money on wage bills and just player transfers in general. But it must really irritate someone like you of your club, where you're already seeing Newcastle potentially breaking their transfer record and paying £45 million for signing this, you know, in the next couple of weeks. And that's not going to stop. They're going to be getting rid of Deadwood, and they're going to spend a lot of money over the next, I don't know, 5 years. They're going to be probably one of the highest spenders in the Premier League, aren't they? After the original top six.
And look, let's not forget, they weren't shy about splashing the cash before.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, what did they spend 42 million on Joelinton?
Yeah,
Sam Maximan was 30 odd or something. You know, they already spent money. Southampton's transfer record's 20 million. Nottingham Forest have been in the Premier League for 1 week, and they've broken Southampton's transfer record. This is the thing now. Like, I guess we can roll this into Southampton, because like, realistically, this is not good enough anymore. Because when you see in teams around us, you know, Everton, Leeds, Villa, now Newcastle, Palace, spending 30-40 million pounds on players, and we're saying, oh no, we can't stretch past 15 million.
Yep.
We're not going to keep up.
Can't compete. Yeah, exactly. I also do want to mention Southampton, as one of my teams to talk about, where not only did you have such a good first half and then absolutely fell off a cliff, which I'm sure you don't have any problem saying, but also, I don't think in the last few years I've seen a team so tenacious against the top six teams, but then so terrible against the rest of the teams that you should be beating.
Honestly, it's really confusing being a Southampton fan, because like, we'll go out, you know, we got draws against both Manchester sides, home and away.
Yeah,
we took 2 draws from West Ham and a win in the cup. We took a win at Tottenham, a win at Arsenal,
and then just can't perform against relegation fodder. They get battered the week before.
And then we lose 3-0 to Brentford. You know, we lose 2-0 to Norwich, 2-0 to Watford.
It's crazy.
2-1 to Burnley. Like, it's absolutely shocking. You know, the mentality of that team is awful. There's not a leader in that team.
Yeah.
Now, realistically, in an ideal world, I would strip the captaincy from Prowsey, but how can you do that without him then getting the ump and leaving?
Yeah.
Because the thing is, there's no one on that pitch that cares, that shouts, that, you know, brings everyone back up. We haven't had that for a long time. What I'm hoping for, and what I think the club know now, is that we need some experience in there. Now, what they have done, I'm not sure if you're aware, but they've sacked 3 coaches.
Mm-hmm.
So they've not taken the easier option of sacking Hasenhüttl.
Yeah.
Because the thing is, I don't think you'll ever find a manager who's as passionate about a team as Hasenhüttl is about Southampton. He'll go down, I think, as one of the not necessarily the best managers that Southampton have had, but certainly the ones that are most passionate. He's up there with like Nigel Adkins. He loves this team. This team, everything, and he's going to retire after this team because he feels like he's given his all here. So you know what, fair play. I love that commitment, but tactically he is not
hit and
good.
miss. Yeah,
And that's because when Danny Roll left to go to the Bayern Munich job, no one replaced him. So a lot of the time you'll see Ralph at the technical area on his own without any backup from an assistant manager. The coaching staff weren't vocal enough. They weren't challenging him, and they weren't saying, well, actually things aren't going right. Because all you've seen all season, there's no plan B. And this, I think, is one of the things they're looking to rectify. We bring in a good assistant manager, bring him some more good first team coaches.
And a solid keeper.
A solid keeper, experienced centre half.
Yeah.
Some new wingers and a new striker.
Yeah, well,
not a lot to ask.
Yeah, just a whole team. We will see. Yeah, what happens with that? Again, you can only have the pessimism can last a little bit now, and then as we get more towards the season, I know it will creep back up. The hope will creep in, and you can't help it. In first day of the season, you'll be buzzing.
It's the hope that kills you, mate. It's the hope that kills you.
Of course it is. A couple of other ones I just wanted to mention. Again, we will go through like some of them in more depth and stuff about how they may have shocked us or amazed us and stuff. But a couple more on my list were shout out to Brighton. You know, great from Potter and the team there. You know, finishing in way above anyone thought they'd be. Loads of people thought they'd be relegation fodder again. You know, same with Wolves. I personally was a doubter of Wolves when they kept changing managers so much, but actually they were bang on the money now, and a couple of their players had outstanding seasons. We won't get too much into that. We'll save that. Palace, again, I think we can both say it will feature next episode. We've both very much proven wrong with Vieira, and he's done a really solid job and made that team work, and done some quite shrewd signings actually since he's been there, which was nice for them. And then the last one from me was they were very up and down and a bit erratic at times, but just from the pure fun. And I think they very much could suffer from second season syndrome. It's Brentford.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. I think they will definitely get second season syndrome. I think I think Tony might leave
purely maybe after everything that's happened as well.
Yeah, exactly. I don't see them picking up goals necessarily everywhere they go. Just towards the back end of the season, they started to get real sloppy.
Yeah.
What, red card in the last game, red card in the game before that. Yeah. I think that they might also see. I think someone else will come in for Ericsson, a bigger team.
Yeah, there's lots of rumours.
I think he's too good for Brentford. Personally, you know, I think he's back now. So I think, you know, we could be maybe even somewhere like Newcastle.
Again, we're not going to talk about our team this season yet, but Garth Crooks' team of the season, he was in there, which says a lot.
Yeah, I don't think he warrants that level.
Yeah, I know. Again, he has done incredible things since he's been at Brentford, but he wasn't there long enough. And
exactly. But you've got Mbeumo, Rico Henry,
really
Jan Wiese, you know, even David Raya in goal, very, very solid. But yeah, I wouldn't anticipate them maybe staying up next.
Yeah, that's what I worry. I just feel that the team that is Fulham of the money in that position will just come steaming rolling again that they did, and then they'll stay out for a couple of seasons, potentially longer this time. But I think they'll eventually go down. But I just feel that's an easy swap for Brentford instantly. For the very least. Is there anyone else you want to shout out before we move on?
Yeah, negatively Everton.
Yeah. Oh, sorry. Yeah, brilliant shout. Yeah.
Because honestly, they're an absolute car crash.
They need a lot of work over the summer.
They need so much work. I mean, this whole season, you know, it started off with the Sigurdsson stuff, and bringing Rafa in as well. Like, obviously, it was only ever going to be bad news.
Yeah.
They just weren't up to it.
Yeah.
You know, and we said it from pretty much the start. We started in September, didn't we, with Roundup Review, and we were saying at that point that they were going to be problems because they were already injured. They had a lot of players injured.
So many players injured. It was outrageous.
You know, and to lose 5-1 on the last day after you've given your fans that season. Yeah, I know you've stayed up, but come on now. You know, the only player that showed any spark is back is going back to United. Dele Alli, I hear they're looking to accept some offers for Dele Alli if any come in. They won't, because why would anyone want to sign Dele Alli? £40 million they spent on him in January, and now he's just not good enough.
I just think there's a lot of players that are going to leave, or just stuff that needs sorting out and everything. Anyone else, or should we move on?
Yeah, I'm happy to move on. I think we can do a bit more.
We'll do a deep dive when we give our awards out and stuff, and talk about maybe some real big like pros and cons of teams and managers and stuff like that. So I've got 2 more topics to talk about. We're not going to keep it that much longer on. For a really quick topic in between, I just wanted to congratulate the 3 teams which are coming up to the Prem. Especially, Forest obviously won the playoff on the weekend, and to take that 3rd spot coming up, 23 years since they've been in the top flight. And I think most football fans will say that's if you have nothing against Norwich and you're a bit of a neutral with them, it's quite nice to see them back in the Prem, because they are one of those classic English heritage football names that you put up there, with winning big cups, and they have that. So I think people are excited about that. Obviously, Fulham, stormed it as most people were expecting them to. They tend to have lots of players come up, then have to sell them and go back down, but they have the money and they always will be yo-yoing. If they can't stay in for a few years, they could this time. I think they probably will this time, for a couple of years. And then obviously Bournemouth, I know your feelings on them, but yeah, Bournemouth in second to join them. So that is the 3 coming up. So congratulations to them 3. It's I'm excited to get the next season started and to see them in the Prem again. And then the last thing we want to talk about, we're literally going to touch on it for 5 minutes, is Champions League final. Again, one of the reasons that we waited to do this episode was get the Championship kind of teams out the way, and then the Championship final out the way. So we're not going to talk like crazy amounts about it. Obviously, Real Madrid won, and I think we were both very happy about that. Steve obviously was very not happy about that, and obviously all the Liverpool fans in general weren't very happy about that. But it was an exciting match in one sense. There was loads of stuff like back and forth. Like I will say, it was Liverpool's game to absolutely kill them in the first half, and they should have if it wasn't for Danny Carvajal turned the years back on himself and did some brilliant defending in the first half, and Courtois throughout the first and the second half, and was man of the match for doing some outrageous saves and saved them in the end. Benzema being Benzema had loads of good stuff and won Champions League Player of the Tournament, and then the goal scorer of the night, Vinicius Junior, Vinny scored the only goal and then got Young Player of the Champions League. No surprise there. So congratulations. As I said, I had faith since then that it was going to be Real Madrid, and I even we talked about it on previous episodes. I said 86 minutes, I was like, nah, they got this, they're coming back in certain games, and they did. And again, we could talk about this as well. I don't think we've seen millions of professionals and pundits and reporters. It's got to be the Ballon d'Or for Big Karim now. It has to be, and if it's not, it's going to be outrageous. We're all kind of agreed on that. I mean, I'll quickly talk about outside the game, and then I'll let you kick off on a subject about Liverpool as well, because we thought it was an interesting one to bring up. So obviously the bad side of that was what happened outside. Again, they are looking into it, which they absolutely should. I've seen fake ticket videos of how people got in, people being told to just duck under the barriers to get in. Then we've had, families of people like Joel Matip's brother and wife who was pregnant being tear gassed outside the stadium, kids being tear gassed. Like, it's just sickening. And if you're going to host an event like that, be prepared for it. You think at a club like, PSG in the Stade de France that they'd actually have this stuff down, but apparently not. But anyway, great win for Madrid fans. Lots of people obviously not probably wanting Liverpool to win after everything, so that was nice for them to see. And also, just quickly to point out, how many people in their team have just won 5 Champions Leagues is outrageous. Anyway, I will let you kick off talking about Liverpool.
So the official Community FC stance on Liverpool, they are frauds. Three cup finals and not a single goal scored.
Yeah.
They're supposed to be the most outrageous attacking talent in world football at the moment.
Yeah,
and they can't and haven't scored a single goal in the cup final.
We're not saying, however, they're not a good team. Obviously, they're a cracking team.
But we're saying that. We are saying that. We are saying that. We're gonna bait the Liverpool fans out there.
But again, that speaks for itself, doesn't it?
Yeah, I mean, it really does. Salah, Mane, Jota, Diaz, Firmino, not a single one of them has scored a big goal for you this season in a game where it really, really matters. And you squeaked past Chelsea in penalties both times. You weren't going to squeak past Real Madrid, because guess what? They've got big game players. They've got Courtois, huge game. Vinny, huge game. And Benzema, every single game up until that game, he was instrumental. He was pulling the strings.
Yeah.
They got Modric, massive game player, even comes out and shows up for Croatia, doesn't he?
Mm-hmm.
I just don't think that Liverpool have any massive game players. And I think that showed this season.
They just had, the thing is, what was so frustrating if you're a Liverpool fan is you had so many chances in the first half and Real Madrid looked so off the boil, but they just managed to scrappily defend you every time, throw their bodies on the line, take fouls, take cards, do whatever they needed to do to get it done. And it just rattled Liverpool. And then they just took their chances when it happened. But as we said, like you can't be the most attacking team, even more, you're put above City in the most attacking team in Europe and then not score in a single final that you've been in all season. I'm sorry, you just can't be. So
agreed. And if you don't like that, then get on the video, leave us a comment and let us know why we're wrong. Because I don't think you're going to change our minds.
You've got a fantastic team and you've done bits in the Premier League, and everybody knows, like we were saying earlier, that you were going to score in certain games. But just when it comes to the finals, yes, you've won 2 finals. I'm not saying like congratulations on that, but did you turn up in those games? Yes and no. Yes, there was circumstances in every single one, but I'm just a bit like, come on. And I want to say
finals.
Yeah, go on.
I was going to say those finals come with asterisks, really. They're not. Yeah. No one's going to remember them as fantastic finals.
Oh, like an asterisk next to their Premier League winning season. Anyway, I did want to point out really quickly. Last thing I wanted to point out, I saw someone on Twitter, somebody that we both know, but they put a story up, and I just think like it was a bit of a crazy thing to say. They were like, so. They were like, this team has squeezed past Real Madrid. Sorry, they're talking about. They were like, this team has squeezed past so many of the competition, and they're the most undeserving winners of the Champions League in recent years. I was like, I'm sorry. Real Madrid have won La Liga. They've won the Spanish Cup. They've won quite a lot this season. And I know that La Liga, they didn't have too much competition this season with everything that's happened. But I'm sorry, a team that can twice score multiple goals in the last minutes of the game or extra time, that's a team that shows teamwork. That's a team that shows heart. That's a team that shows the guts and the stones to win a game. And that's what you need in finals. And then they've proved that again.
Real Madrid beat Man City, the English champions.
Chelsea.
They beat Chelsea, the previous European champions. They beat Liverpool, they beat... Who else did they beat?
Yeah,
did they beat Bayern Munich?
I can't. PSG didn't they?
PSG they beat.
Yeah. After
how can you say they're undeserving?
Precisely, and it was a ridiculous comment. I was just like, but they've shown why they deserve to win it by beating all of these ginormous teams in the way that they have, like the Benzema and Rodrigo and Vinny, just not letting anything stop them. Like, we're going to come off the bench, we're going to do it. And that's why I was so confident in that Chelsea game. And I was like, 86 minutes, I was like, just wait, lads. Everyone else had written them off, turned the game off. I was like, nah, just wait. And it just happened. And that's why I think, it's one of them. But we'll stop there. Like, we just wanted to touch on that. We want to touch on the end of the Prem season, welcome the new people to that, and then talk about the Champions League. Again, you've all watched it. You don't need us to go through it step by step. We just had some points to point out from that. Anyway, we will talk more about kind of the Prem next week, or whenever we get this out in a couple of weeks' time, potentially, to give our awards out. But I just want to say a massive thank you for you coming on, Rich, and the whole season in general.
Thanks for having me. It's been an absolute pleasure, mate, and I wouldn't have traded it for anything.
Absolutely. And next episode won't be the last episode at all, because we will be putting content out over summer, so stay tuned for that. But if you have been liking this, don't forget to give us a thumbs up, give us a subscribe, hit the notification bell if you want to be notified every time we go live. If you're on the Spotify listening to us instead, then give us 5 stars on there. It really helps us out, and give us a follow, and you'll be notified. So that's it from us. We'll catch you at the next episode, and if not, we'll catch you for some fun over the summer. Thanks so much, guys.